You're in the middle of a dungeon crawl. The fighter's bored, the rogue is itching for a stealth kill, and the wizard just wants to talk to every local innkeeper about obscure lore. Sound familiar? Today, I'm going to show you exactly how to stop your players from tuning out, whether the swords are drawn or the story's unraveling. Stick around because by the end of this video, you'll have a proven game plan for balancing high-stakes combat with a story so compelling that your players won't dare roll their eyes, they'll just roll their dice. Now, why does balancing your story matter? First off, different player interests. Some players want to hack and slash all night long, and other players want deep moments that are going to make them ugly cry at the table. A balanced approach keeps everyone happy. It's also really important for narrative flow. Combat without story just feels meaningless, and story without combat can become tedious. You need both to keep the pacing exciting and the stakes high. Another reason is character development. Characters grow in diversity, both dramatic conflicts and literal battles. Does this sound like your table? Your combat junkie wants to know when they get to fight the dragon, but your lore enthusiast wants to spend 6 hours deciphering some runes. That, adventurers, is why we need a balanced approach. So how do you go about planning the right ratio? It totally depends first on your group's preferences. Make sure you ask them. Do they prefer 50% roleplay and 50% hack and slash? Or are they more interested in a 70-30 or 60-40 combination? Let them weigh in. The right ratio is also going to depend on the tone of the adventure. A dark, gritty campaign might have more quick, smaller skirmishes that head up to a big showdown, while a heroic fantasy might be full of epic battles and grand speeches. So here's a pro tip. Run a quick session 0 to consult with players and get everybody on the same page. Ask your players directly. Do you want epic battles every other session? Do you want more political intrigue? Or do you want an eclectic mix? Their answers might actually surprise you. You want to make sure that you design combat with a purpose. And how do we do that? Try to tie each encounter to the story. Don't just throw in some random bandits for the sake of rolling initiative. Maybe these bandits have crucial information about the local warlord. Also, make sure you vary the stakes. Give the party a reason to fight beyond simply, we want XP. Maybe they need to protect some villages or even retrieve a critical item that's the only way to advance the plot. Make sure you use the environment or some social twists as well. Combat does not always have to be a slugfest, or even some hazardous terrain that makes the party think more than just swing swords. Adventurers, if you're finding this video helpful, go ahead and hit that like button. It's a free way to support the channel and helps more people find us. Remember, your party getting ambushed can be more fun if it's from some vengeful enemy that they've run across before. Always try to tie it back to the story in a meaningful way. So what are some of the ways you can weave story into every session, even if you're in the middle of a dungeon crawl? One way is character spotlight moments. Give each player a chance to do something that only their character can do, like maybe disarming a magical trap that's tied into their backstory somehow. Or maybe some NPC connections. Give them an ally to join the team temporarily. Show their perspective and give them some goals that tie into the story narratively. I also encourage you to do some reactive world building. Let the party see how their actions change the world they're in. If they defeated a powerful undead, how do the local villagers react? Next, let's talk about pacing your sessions. A good session should feel like a well-edited movie, never a dull moment. Here's some pacing tips. Consider combat beats. Aim for shorter, high-impact battles, rather than overly long slugfests that drain everyone's energy. Allow for some breathing room. Let your players catch their breath after a battle with some roleplay or story reveal moments. Maybe an after-battle scene to reflect on injuries or loot. And don't forget about cliffhangers and hooks. End sessions with a question or a challenge that leaves players begging for more. Maybe a cryptic message from a big baddie, or a shocking discovery about a character's past. Now, balancing the story isn't just the DM's job. Players need to contribute too. Consider encouraging roleplay in combat. Let them describe their attacks in cinematic detail. You can reward their creativity with inspiration. Also, prompt them with questions. How does your character feel about this ambush? How do you react to your ally's injury? And use your player's backstory. Weave those personal quests and revelations into the fight. For example, the villain could could be a figure from one of your players' tragic backstories. Players, don't be shy. Bring the drama. Just maybe not soap opera level drama. Well, unless of course you want to, I won't judge. Okay, so here's some quick fire tips and some common pitfalls to avoid. Avoid over planning. Leave room for improvisation. Your players will surprise you, I promise. Spotlight sharing is another quick tip. Make sure each player feels important in the game. Reward creative solutions. Let players bypass an encounter if they came up with a creative plan. And communication. If the balance is off, talk with your group and adjust as you go. This is your game together. So for some common pitfalls, often DMs will try to have too many filler fights. Fights just for the sake of filling time can really bore players. Never leveling up the story is another pitfall. If your story arcs or mysteries stagnate, players will wonder why they're even fighting in the first place. And ignoring your players' preferences. If your party absolutely hates 3-hour epic battles, don't keep forcing them upon them. Let me know in the comments down below. Do you have an epic, memorable combat encounter to share that perfectly tied into the story? I want to read all about it. Share your tales of glory or hilarious defeat below. Balancing combat and story is how you're going to turn a decent campaign into an epic story that your group will talk about for years. Remember, consult your players, keep your combat purposeful, weave storytelling throughout, maintain good pacing, and always adapt to what your table needs. If you've enjoyed this video and want more tips on leveling up your role-playing sessions, whether player or DM, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when future videos are posted. Now you're going to want to click on a video in the next screen. Go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you there.